Okay, a very good morning everybody. My name is Emma McKendrick. I'm a champion for the Lothian Centre for Inclusive Living, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to today's event, Making Self-Directed Support Work. I will be your Master of Ceremonies for the first part of the event today. It's fantastic to see so many of you here, and I know that there's people here from across Scotland, from Dumfries all the way up to Inverness, so that's great. I'd also like to take this opportunity to welcome those who are watching the event online. Please do join in with the event via Twitter using the hashtag MakeSDSWork. The discussion and debate from today will continue online after the event. Well, we'll begin today's event by hearing from a variety of speakers, including people involved in various aspects of self-directed support and the Minister for Public Health, Michael Matheson, MSP. After we have heard from the speakers, we will have a variety of activities for you to enjoy, but I'll tell you more about those later. I would now like to give a very warm welcome to the first of today's speakers, Robert McPherson.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Emma, thank you for a glowing introduction, which in Emma's case is most unlike her, to give me such a glowing introduction. I've been asked to give a little rundown on the support I receive at the moment. Hopefully a little introduction to it anyway, and what I hope I will be able to achieve. I'll start off at the moment with the outcomes I have at the moment. I want to participate and contribute to life in my community. At the present, I serve and have done for a number of years on the board of a housing association. I also serve on the board of Lothian Centre for Inclusive Living, who are responsible for putting on this wonderful show today. And I also act along with Emma and several others, as a champion for LCiL. I also like to see my friends and family, get out and about, to do my own thing, and differently but equally important, I love to spend time on my own as I enjoy my own company. The support that I get, that I direct at the moment, allows me to do these things, and the support I have at the moment is a mix from the City of Edinburgh Council, direct service. I have two teams of 2 people who are in the main regular, and they come each day, and because of my condition dictates that I need not only personal care but a lot of intimate care. So the fact that the support I receive, that there's consistency with the people who deliver that. I also get I have a small direct payment, and together with some independent living funding, I also employ personal assistants for evening and overnight. The overnight is a sleepover, but it's one of the few times I do feel a little vulnerable, and I have to sleep on my side, and if a spasm or twist and get in an uncomfortable position, the fact that there's someone in a room next door sleeping, a simple call gets them to come and make me comfortable, which is very important for me. And finally, I have support from, I have a long-term partner, I have family, and a very good group of friends who all help out to fill in where I need care. My partner and I don't, in the main, do not have any help over the weekends. She does most of it herself, which is very easy for a 5'2" throwing a lightweight 6'2" around. But it's important for our relationship that we have these times on our own. But conversely, because she has to do so much, it can put certain stresses and strains on your relationship. So that is effectively, the care I get is option 4, which I think is a good thing, that we'll be able to take some control on doing these things. The City of Edinburgh Direct Support Service also allows for some flexibility. An example being that over the last 3 or 4 weeks, my partner has had a sore back and suffering from sciatica, and with a call to the control at St John's House, I get my care from Leith. I asked if I could get some support, some help over the 2 mornings of the last 4 weekends, and that was supplied without any bother, and that makes it excellent, and have indeed said if I want to put that into a permanent position, that would be supplied. Employing my own staff also allows me some control over my choice of personnel and the hours that I want people to work. And that again is very important, because you have to feel comfortable with the people that you're working with, and as they have to do so much for you. On a slightly different style, I also get reasonably regular rehab at the Landfine unit, which is at the Astley Ainsley Hospital. It's a unit that looks after people with progressive neurological disorders. I could tell you another story about that, but I'll not go into it. A passion of mine. But this keeps, by the regular assessment, it keeps me as well as possible and helps me also achieve the outcomes, and also acts as a respite for my family, friends, partner, and indeed the regular carers. Gives them a break from me and me a break from them. Finally, what do I hope from SDS, self-directed support? I'd like to think even more flexibility, to have more freedom over how I control my budget. An example being to use some of the hours, and I have a very generous package that I am very happy with, but maybe to change some of the hours of support to other times of the day to allow me to get to my commitments that I have, meetings, and be supported to get there and while I am there. So that is, in a nutshell, the things I have, and thank you kindly for listening. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Omar, and I work for the Lothian Centre for Inclusive Living. I'm an independent living officer. And I've been asked to come and speak to you today about how the information and support I've received from LCiL in particular has been crucial to me achieving my outcomes in my life. And I'll give you a rundown of my outcomes. I'm going to speak to you about myself graduating from uni and employing a PA with the assistance of LCiL. Then I'll take you into a little bit about the direct payment that I receive and what I use it for, namely physiotherapy. And thirdly, I'll speak to you a little bit about the outcome that I wanted to achieve, which was gaining employment through LCiL. And finally, I'll speak to you about my future plans and further independence that I hope to achieve. So my first introduction to the Lothian Centre for Inclusive Living came back in 2007. I was in my second year at uni, and after completing my first year where I was studying a human resources degree, I felt that I needed a scribe and a PA to kind of help me note take during lectures. And the disability advisor at university was the lady that put me in contact with the Lothian Centre for Inclusive Living. And she basically said that they would help me recruit my own personal assistant and advertise for me and help me with the interview process, and try and find somebody that was suited to my needs at that particular point. So I got in touch with LCiL, and I was given my own independent living officer who sat me down, and we went through my requirements, what I needed support for, how I was going to be funding the support, which was in my case at that point through the Scottish Awards Agency, because that's the umbrella body for funding at university. And after 3 or 4 months, I successfully recruited my own PA, and he's been with me ever since. And we started at uni together, and he helped me graduate all the way through uni and beyond. So that was my first kind of introduction to LCiL. But whilst I was at uni, LCiL kept in touch with me, and they informed me that I could get other funding, which is known as a direct payment, to basically arrange my own personal support. And I felt that this was obviously the right time for me to do that. I got in touch with LCiL and I increased my hours, not just from Scottish Awards Agency, but also a direct payment to 10 hours a week, which I used to fulfill the second of my outcomes, which was to maintain my physical conditioning and be a little bit more physically active. Unfortunately, my physical condition had deteriorated somewhat in the years after I left school, because I received no physio on the NHS, and I felt that an avenue to improve my physical health, along with the physio that I was funding privately at this point, would be to use my PA to help me improve my physical condition at home, and do exercises and physical activity at home, which I duly got funding for from LCiL after they helped me find out what other support I needed. And my physical health drastically improved. And we worked hard for about 2 years to maintain my physical health and get me back to a level where I felt I was comfortable and feeling like I had enough energy. And at this point, I had graduated from university back in 2011, and I began to look for work because I felt that this was another outcome that I wanted to try and achieve. Gaining some type of employment would not only help boost my bank balance, but also give me the confidence that I felt that I needed to move things forward in my life. So I was unemployed, unfortunately, for about 8 months due to the economic sort of condition that we're in at the moment. And back in July, March 2011, I realised that I needed to seek out voluntary opportunities if I was going to find employment. And that's again where my journey led me to LCiL, and in particular Grapevine, which is the Disability Information Service, who I got in touch with, and I asked them if they knew of any voluntary opportunities that were available at LCiL. They said that they had a position available for somebody to answer the phone one afternoon a week, and I duly took them up on the opportunity and began in March 2011 working for LCiL using the phones. Some weeks after that, I was given the opportunity to go on a training for trainers course, which was run by LCiL to train other disabled people in finding out more about direct payments and building their confidence. The course ran for 6 weeks, and it drastically improved my confidence and gave me the kind of energy to kind of feel that I belonged in the workplace. Whilst I was doing the course, another position, the position that I hold now at LCiL, became available. I applied for the job, I was duly interviewed for it, and I was successful in the job. And I've been working for LCiL for the past 1.5 years now as an independent living officer. So it's kind of drastically, the information and support I've received from LCiL has drastically changed my life. It's not only changed my life, but it's made my life. And LCiL states that it is a user-led organisation, and I believe it truly reflects that term. From my point of view, LCiL is truly a user-led organisation. I've been through the whole process with LCiL of being a service user to now working for LCiL, and I believe that it is true to the term, truly user-led. And it's led me to this final outcome now, which is the point I'm at in my life now, which is to try and gain further independence. Because I now have employment, I am able to hold down a mortgage, so I'm looking to move into my own flat within the next few months, and try and gain the final piece of the jigsaw, if you like, the final piece of independence that I've been craving. So hopefully that'll happen in the next wee while. And just on LCiL again, the information and support I've received has been absolutely crucial, because I wouldn't be where I am today without all the support from all the staff that have been in the organisation, and for all the advice and assistance they have given me. They do truly what they say on the tin. They are a user-led organisation. I gain employment and support from them, but I also feel that they gain valuable feedback from the likes of myself as a disabled employee, and from our champions, the likes of Robert and Emma here, and they actually act on the kind of advice we offer and take our views on board. So my story is really interlinked with LCiL, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for everything that they've done. And just finally, before I close today, I was asked to give my general hope for self-directed support. And I was thinking about this last night, and actually it's really simple for me actually. I hope self-directed support is truly that, self-directed. I hope it stays true to its name, and that people are given, first of all, the information as I was given from LCiL, to be able to make an informed choice, and secondly, actually to be able to act on it and direct their own support. And within that, I hope LCiL as an organisation can play its part in that and continue to drive change in terms of self-directed support, while staying true to its ethos and the independent living movement itself. I'd like to thank you very much for listening to me today. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much for your introduction, Emma, and to also Robert and to Omar for sharing their own personal experiences with us here today. This has been quite a journey for some of you. I was chatting to some individuals outside, and it's been a long journey to arrive at the particular point where there is much greater opportunity provided for everyone to have much greater control over how their care is provided. I want to say a couple of things about the importance that I see around the Social Care Self-Directed Support Act, which comes into force as of today. For some of you, you'll be aware that the provision of direct payments has been around for a significant period of time. But even with the provision of direct payments, there has still been a too much of a focus within the way in which our social care system operates in particular, which is about what's in the interest of a social care system rather than what's in the interest of those who require social care and its support. And a fundamental part of what direct payments were meant to be about was helping to shift that balance, to give individuals much greater control over how their care is provided and to allow them the level of flexibility around how that's provided as well. But as time's shown, uptake for direct payments has been very limited. We certainly haven't broken through that glass ceiling of a majority of individuals being offered that opportunity, and when you went from one local authority area, you would get a different position on the provision of direct payments, and even within individual local authority areas, you would get different practitioners with a different view around how direct payments should be provided and operated. And when we launched our 10-year strategy around self-directed support, a key part of that strategy was to increase the use of direct payments to give individuals that greater level of control. But it became apparent very early that unless we arrived at the point where we provided the legislative framework in which to ensure that every individual who is assessed as requiring some level of social care provision is offered the opportunity to have greater control over how that's provided, then the reality was that it was not going to happen in a systematic way, in a way in which we wanted to see that happening. Hence why we have the Social Care Self-Directed Support Act. It now puts on a legal footing the right for every individual to be able to have the choice around the way in which their social care provision is managed for them. I mentioned earlier that too often services were designed on the basis of what the social care system thought was what individuals should receive. And I also recognise that in taking forward self-directed support, there are some challenges. There are ingrained practices around how the system should operate. There are services that have been historically provided because that's what was thought should be provided. And with a greater move towards self-directed support, there is a fundamental shift in the locus of control. The locus of control no longer rests just with those who conduct the assessment or who design and plan services, but the locus of control shifts to the individuals who require those services to be able to make the informed decision that they should be able to make about the care and support that best meets them. So if a decision in the past was that your carer comes in at 7:30 to get you up and he'll be back at 7:30 at night to put you to bed, and that doesn't suit you, then you have the choice to be able to design a care package that does reflect what time you want to get up, what you want to do, and when you want to go to bed. And it's these small, practical differences that are absolutely key to delivering what I'm sure everybody in this room would want to aspire for themselves, and that is to be able to lead an independent life in a way that best suits their personal circumstances. And in going forward, I recognise that with the bill being enacted today, that we'll still have some challenges, that it won't all just change overnight, that we will have to continue to make sure that we highlight the importance of self-directed support so that individuals are aware of the choices that they have, that they're legally entitled to make sure that the good practice that's been taken forward within our social care setting does not slip back into the old system of not giving individuals the same level of choice. So over the coming years, we need to make sure that we build on the momentum that we've gained over the last couple of years, and now with the Act being enacted in itself, to make sure that it happens as a matter of choice. I'm personally of the view that with the introduction of the Social Care Self-Directed Support Act, and as of next April, the integration of health and social care, that we are seeing what will probably be viewed as one of the biggest sets of changes that are taking place within our health and social care system that has probably happened in a generation since introduction of the NHS and Community Care Act back in 1990. And what we need to do is to make sure we maximise the potential benefits that can come from these changes. I'm determined to make sure that happens, and I'm sure all of you are determined to make sure that that happens as well, and that it becomes a reality right across the country. Because in doing that, we can make sure that everybody has that opportunity to lead an independent life in a way that best reflects their needs. I mentioned to some individuals earlier on about the way in which very often assessments would be undertaken by someone from the social work department. I won't just say social workers, because I used to be an occupational therapist. Sometimes occupational therapists did them as well, and other care staff were involved in them. And it always struck me that you were always put in that position as though you know better, that you're meant to know what the individual requires. The reality is that the person who knows best about what they require is the individual themselves. And the locus of control shifts that balance in a way that allows them much greater say over that matter. But I recognise that in the social care setting, that for some they will find it quite challenging, allowing that level of control to go to individuals themselves. That for some local authorities and how they design and plan their services, they will find some aspects of that challenging. But it's challenging in a positive way. It's challenging because what they do and how they align their services have to be based upon what the needs of individuals are, rather than what they think they should actually provide. And I would encourage all of our local authorities to take up that challenge in a positive way and to make sure that they design services reflective of what individuals want rather than what they are simply prepared to provide. And in creating that, I think we can make sure that we have a care system that is fit for purpose in going forward. So I hope not only will you view today as being a historic day in the enactment of this new legislation, but I hope you'll also see it as part of the journey to creating more independent living, but in doing so on a legal basis, a legal entitlement to be able to lead as independently a life as any individual chooses to. And as we go along this road, that we can all make sure that we build on the positive gains that can come from it in providing much greater choice and flexibility to individuals through the use of self-directed support. Thank you very much for listening to me.
My name's Keith Quinn. I'm a senior advisor with Scottish Social Services Council. My role is I'm the Learning Technologies Manager, which you would think, surely to God, if anybody can get this to work, it's him. I'm going to put up my hand and say I'm in somebody else's venue. So if this was in my venue, it would be working, trust me. Over the last 2 years, we've started to develop a lot of digital resources for people on the basis that it's more sustainable. I think Scottish Government made a very brave decision to create the guides for the here we go. Hey! To create the guides for the implementation of the new Act as a digital document. Now, if you've been around in public services for a while, or you've had to use public services for a while, you'll be aware there's lots of documents get produced and they get nice shiny covers and they look really lovely, and they come into the office and they go on a shelf. And you send out updates for them and folk get the updates and they're all nicely shrink wrapped and they say, that's great, and they stick it in the back of the folder, still in the shrink wrap. So you come along a year later and you pull the folder down and all the updates fall out all over the place. By creating these digital documents, you've got living documents. And that's what the primary thing was, to try and create documents that weren't just of today and gave you guidance for today, but actually were documents that would continue to live and evolve and change over time. without you needing to do anything about it. So we've created these kind of digital resources where they're very interactive, and we kind of took a triple-pronged approach. So there are apps for iPad, which I would say, if you're wanting to look at the guidance, that's the Rolls-Royce experience. Right? Really, really interactive, lots of video, lots of interactive stuff. I'm just swiping across the screen there, and you can change, you can create your own slideshow. We've got all kinds of interactive material on there. We can bring up websites, and we can, I mean, I'm not going to play video because we're not hooked up to the sound system, but there's about 32 videos across the 3 apps. So we've got something here for, it's my choice. I'll get right back to the very beginning. It's all right. Sorry. No, it's okay. So my support, my choice, that's for folks sitting in this room. We've also got a set for carers, and again they follow the same theme. Very, very interactive, lots of information you can access. Lots and lots of web connected stuff. You know, wee bits to take you through the pathway. Tons of video on them, absolutely masses of video. And when there are updates, when any of these are updated, when you switch the app on, you'll just get an alert saying there's an update available, and it will download automatically. So you'll always have the most up-to-date information on the guidance documents. I'm trying to get to the, because we were talking about being on Twitter today. We built the Twitter feed in to the app itself. All the apps have the Twitter feed built in, so if you want to know exactly what's going on at any given time with self-directed support, the feed is there. You don't have to try and remember it, you don't have to remember hashtags or addresses or logins, it's just there. We've also put in, you know, stuff like search the database for finding services in your area. That's baked into the app. You'd have to go and remember that address, it's just there. So, as I say, I mean, I'm biased because I think these things are great. You know, and for me, that really is the Rolls-Royce experience. So I'd better not leave the practitioners it, because a couple of folk who helped write that are sitting in the room and they'll get very, very angry with me. And again, there's masses of information, and we've tried to make it so that it looks like a complete set. So that what is made available for carers, or for service users, or for practitioners, there'll be differences between the content, but broadly it's the same experience. So I'm just swiping right and left there to try and expose more information. Try and get to the 4 options, because this is the bit that folk who wrote this tend to like the best. They asked me can we have 4 doors for each of the options? Because what we want is to show folk, if you go through 4 different doors, you get 4 different experiences. So when you tap a door, what you get is some information about people, you know, based on real things that folk have had to experience. And if you tap either James, Admin, Sheena, Rachel or Vera, what you'll get is that case study from the viewpoint of option 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So that'll change depending on what door you go in, but you'll get the same generic information, but the case study will change. So that for me that's the best way to access the guidance. Now we know not everybody has access to an iPad necessarily, although here's a wee hint, if I was getting my budget, guess what I'd be asking for. So we also produced it as an online resource, so it's a website. And you can access the same information, so just take you to that. It's a different way of navigating, it's a different experience, but it's exactly the same information. If you decide you'd rather have the Rolls-Royce experience and get the iPad app, you can tap one of these bits at the bottom and you'll get it. It'll take you straight there so you can download. But it's essentially, it's exactly the same information as in the apps. There are some things we can do on an iPad that you can't do on a website. In fact, there's quite a lot we can do on an iPad app that you can't do on a website. So the experience is different, but the core information, the core content is exactly the same. So you're not losing anything. The other benefit of that is if you've got a smartphone, when you go to that website address, it recognises you're on a phone and it reformats itself for your phone. So the pages and everything reorganise themselves into a format that's suitable for a small screen. Now, we need to give you the address for that. Now, I just did that 2 minutes ago, so I've made the cardinal error of putting the website address right at the bottom of the screen. So everybody sitting up at the back there, can you see the address? It's guidance.selfdirectedsupportscotland.org.uk. That takes you to the website. The final, guidance. Hang on, I'm going to move that up to the top of the screen. So we'll just see that we can even do live edits. Is that better? It's always when you do a slide at the last minute, it's always either misspelt or you get the formatting wrong, which I just did. So I should never do things in a hurry. But that address will take you to the website. Doesn't matter if you go to that address on a phone, a tablet or a computer, the website code itself will recognise what you are coming to the site on, and it will serve up the information in a format that suits your device of choice. Okay, so it completely doesn't care what device it is, it will give you the information. So that's option 2. The final option is to read the text. So on that website, I'm just going to jump back to the website so you can see this. You'll see it, or you won't see, but down at the bottom, when we've got the links for the iPad apps, it says there's also PDF versions available. Now, what we didn't want to do when we were creating the guidance was just create lots of dead trees. So you can spend a lot of money and a lot of time warehousing lots of printed materials. The problem is when they go out of date, it's landfill. So the conscious decision was made that rather than go out to flashy print, if folk really wanted to take the text and read it away from a computer, they could download a PDF and either read it locally or print it locally, and then they can just see the text. So you don't get any of the interactivity, you don't get any of the videos, you don't get any of the kind of live web stuff, but you've still got the core information available. So I've tried to cater for everybody's needs. So you've got print, you've got online, and you've got iPad app. I've got 10 iPads with me today, so if folk want to try out the apps, there's an opportunity, I think, after 12 o'clock for folk to come along and play. These are not conference giveaways. So anybody thinking, thank goodness it's Christmas? No, it's not, because I would get my head in a basket if I went back to the SSC and they said, where's your iPads? And I go, I don't know. Folk ran away with them at an SDS launch event. So we've got 10 iPads here, which isn't a lot for the number of folk that are here, but we're here till 1:30. Feel free to pick one up. They're all set up ready to go. They're all connected to the Wi-Fi. So you've got all the live internet connected stuff. And you can have a play. All 3 apps are on the iPad, so you can try whatever one you want. Have a play around it and see what you think. We hope you'll enjoy the Rolls-Royce version. Because it's a Rolls-Royce built on a budget for a ladder. And I'm not being disparaging about the budget. What I'm trying to underline for you is we've done this in a very sustainable way, in a very cost-effective and cost-efficient way. So although I'm saying it's a Rolls-Royce experience, it is not a Rolls-Royce budget. So we've been able to squeeze a lot out of the money that was available that we couldn't have done if it was all in print. So have a play and enjoy, and hopefully you'll download them onto your own devices later. That's it for me, Emma. Thank you.